Hey guys, happy Monday. Zoom is not working, so I am going to go over our assignment quickly. Your assignment for today is in Google Classroom. If you go under your memoir writing, click under Monday, August 24th, Indirect Characterization. This is your assignment. There are three parts. The first thing you're going to want to do is open up your Nearpod, and this is our lesson for today. You can go at your own pace. So you're going to enter your name. Today, the lesson is about indirect characterization, and our learning targets are I can focus on how writers develop and convey details about characters in their memoirs, and I can convey themes, develop characters, and add meaning through point of view. So our activating strategy, you're going to watch a short film called Mike's New Car. As you're viewing the short film, reflect on these questions. Number one, what is Mike's strongest character trait? Examples of character traits are generous, brave, loyal, kind, peaceful, determined, etc. Number two, how is it developed throughout the film? In other words, what does Mike do or say to show his strongest character trait? You're going to watch your video. And step one, our activating strategy, I have some questions and answers for you so you can go through them. All of these questions revolve around Mike's strongest character trait and how those are demonstrated throughout the film. So the point is, when you write, you want to make sure that you are showing your audience the character traits that your character possesses, not telling. Step two is our mini lesson. So that's when I am going to tell you a little bit more about what characterization is and the use of indirect characterization. So characterization is the process by which the writer reveals the personality of a character. Characterization is revealed in two ways. The first one is direct characterization, which is when the author tells the audience what the personality of the character is. We don't want to tell our audience what our character is like. That's boring. Instead, we want to show them. So we want to use indirect characterization. It shows things that reveal the personality of a character. So now that we've identified various ways that showed Mike's main personality trait, I want you to identify indirect characterization with the text names nombres. All right, and here is some more information for you to go over in the link that is provided to you in your Google Classroom. It tells you more about characterization. You are going to need to become very familiar with the STEAL method of indirect characterization. So STEAL is an acronym, meaning each letter stands for something. So the S stands for speech. So when you are describing your character, when you are showing your audience who your character is, you can use speech to show them who they are. So you can use dialogue to show how a character speaks or what they say. You can use thoughts. Sometimes a character's thoughts reveals things about how they feel about maybe another character or an event that's happened. You can use indirect characterization to show the effect that your character has on others. So you can answer questions like, how does the character interact with others? How do other characters feel about or react to the character? You can use indirect characterization to show actions of your character. What do they do, and what does it mean when they behave a certain way? And you can also use indirect characterization to describe what your character looks like. All right, and you're going to have to go through this presentation in Nearpod on your own. So step three is student practice. So think about your own character in your memoir. What kind of character do you want them to be, and how can you develop them? You're going to complete the STEAL box in Google Classroom. And step four is to make sure that you complete the STEAL box in Google Classroom. So I'm going to hop over to Google Classroom really quickly. This is your assignment for today. So it's under the memoir writing section under Monday, August 24th, indirect characterization. After you look at the Nearpod, which is right here in Google Classroom, you are going to review the use of indirect characterization and names nombres. It is right here where it says Mrs. Vian names nombres. I went through and I highlighted each of the uses of indirect characterization, and I told you what type of indirect characterization it was based off of steal, okay? So make sure you are very familiar with what steal is. Number two, think about the protagonist you are creating within your memoir. What kind of characteristics does your character have, and how can you show the reader those characteristics? Then, number three, you're going to complete the third column of your steal chart, which is right here. So your directions say, using the text names, nombres, observe how Julia Alvarez incorporates indirect characterization. Use that as a guide to incorporate indirect characterization into your memoir by completing the third column in the chart below. Think about your protagonist. How can you show your reader who they are instead of telling them? Here's your steal chart again to use for a reference or a guide. And then I have given you a chart right here that has your steal down this column right here. And then I've given you examples from names nombres, so I copied them from the text and pasted them here so it's easier for you to view. And I also gave you the explanations of how these specific quotes from the story show indirect characterization. And in the third column, this is what you're going to complete. So you are going to tell me how you are going to use indirect characterization to develop your character by using speech. You're going to write that example here. You're going to give me an example of how your character is going to use indirect characterization by thoughts. You are going to write your answer here, and so on. So effects on others, how are you going to incorporate it into your story? Actions, how are you going to incorporate it into your story? And looks, how are you going to incorporate it into your story? Okay, once you are done, you can submit your assignment to me. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. All right? All right, hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.